I'd say this would be more like, I reckon this would be like 300, 400, and this would still be one. I genuinely am convinced that the amount of lives ended by gun violence in the US is hundreds times more.
100 times more? Like 400 times more?
Than lives saved in self-defense by using a gun. Can I ask what you're doing?
Hi. Having conversations with people today for my YouTube channel hobby.
Oh.
Yeah.
Do you want to have a conversation?
Sure.
Okay.
How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. How are you? Good.
Very hot.
It's hot.
Very. Yeah, I'm not used to this climate at all.
Yeah, that's why I set up in the shade.
Yeah, good idea. If you're over on that side.
Oh, yeah. Have you been enjoying the cycling today? Or just watching it?
Yeah, I didn't even know it was on. I'm not even sure whether it was a one-day thing or what it's for. Is it an event?
Yeah, I think they do this once every 6 months or so.
Oh, cool.
Shut down some streets somewhere in LA. And so I like to take advantage of it. I just live nearby.
Oh, cool. So have you always lived in California or?
No.
Where are you from?
Virginia.
Oh, yeah?
Originally. Yeah.
Cool.
Where are you from?
Can you somewhat tell by the accent?
Oh, man. It's so hard. Is that Australia?
Close. New Zealand.
New Zealand, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But, it was like 26 degrees Fahrenheit when I left New Zealand and I got
Fahrenheit?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was like -2 Celsius. I think that's the right conversion.
Yeah.
And I got to Hawaii and it was like 90 degrees Fahrenheit and I was like, in like a hoodie and leggings, I just died on the spot. It was so hot.
Wow.
And I'm headed to Texas after this, which is apparently even hotter. So
wow. Doing a tour of the US or something?
Yeah, like I kind of just turned 24, had like a quarter life crisis and was like, I need to do some traveling. The world's been shut for a couple of years. So I did a high school exchange in San Antonio like 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And I was just like, right, probably should go back, say hi to people and then, see some other states since I haven't been anywhere else.
Got some good friends in San Antonio. I like that spot.
Yeah, it's real nice. Like, I feel like the cities in Texas are really different to like the smaller, I don't know what to call them, like suburbs. Like just the mindset. Like I think people are a little bit more like open-minded and friendly in the cities. Like especially like Austin.
What is your name?
Yeah. Reed? Yeah. Had a conversation with him already today.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So do you like set topics and like chat to people or is it just like generic like?
Sometimes I do, but I don't have like the room to have a cart and my other little sign with the topics, but I leave it open for anybody. Want to do headphones? It's easier to hear.
Yeah.
And if you scoot closer to the microphone, we can hear each other better.
Oh, that's way better.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't hear everyone else now.
Yeah, I like to leave the topics open because I'm not so much interested in what people believe, but why people believe things.
Right.
And how we know those reasons are good reasons.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to do.
So do you like ask people to, I guess, give like a controversial opinion on something or?
Those are the more interesting videos, but it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be. It could be politics, religion, spirituality, science,
Oh, yeah.
philosophy, whatever.
Do you want me to bring one out?
Yeah, is there anything you've heard people say that you really strongly disagree with? Or
Yeah,
is there
like,
something you agree
For
with?
sure. There was like a guy I was seated next to on the plane and he was talking about the Second Amendment.
Second Amendment.
So like gun control. So coming from New Zealand and also just not growing up in a culture surrounding guns, have a really different opinion to probably a large portion of Americans in terms of gun control. So in New Zealand, we had an Australian man come over and unfortunately he had a semi-automatic weapon and he committed a terrorist attack on a mosque in my city.
I think I remember that.
Yeah, and 51 people died. So our Prime Minister sort of took like immediate action and outlawed all semi-automatic weapons. And if you had a gun, you had to hand it in and they were all destroyed. And they cannot be purchased in New Zealand. You can have like a hunting gun or like for clay bird shooting, that kind of thing. And, it's now been 4 years and we haven't had an incident since. And then you, I guess, compare that with the unfortunate amount of shootings in the US and the availability to go purchase a gun from Walmart. Kind of to me seems like a no-brainer that less guns means less gun violence. So, yeah, and I mean, like, when people say, like, it's my Second Amendment, they can't even finish the sentence. And, like, it's the right to bear arms and what? Like, that's not the whole amendment.
Uh-huh.
And I asked someone, I was like, can you finish this? Can you finish it? Can you name the other 12 amendments? And he couldn't. And I was like, it's not actually about your Second Amendment having the right to bear arms, because that was written, I'm pretty sure, when people were using muskets. So I said, I don't think it's really about that amendment, is it? It's more about wanting what you can't have, or not wanting to relent or give up something that you currently do have access to. So, I think that the US would really benefit, and you would have a lot less mass shootings if guns were far less readily available and outlawed.
Okay. Yeah, I think I hear the claim, like, the US should have far less guns.
Yep.
Is that the basic claim?
Less guns and more gun control and laws surrounding the ability to purchase or own a gun. So you can't even purchase one in New Zealand now, like a semi-automatic weapon or like a pistol. You can have a gun to go hunting. So, I mean, if you were going to go and try and kill multiple people at once, it's going to be rather slow before you get through, tens of people, compared to a semi-automatic weapon where they can just open fire and have at it.
Right. Is this fair? The U.S. should have far more gun control?
Absolutely.
All right. Where's your confidence about that if all the way to the right is absolutely yes, that's true,
Yes, yeah.
or not sure, or absolutely false?
Absolutely to the right. I think that
All the way?
it would be a game changer. Like what happened in, I think it was Uvalde in Texas, was obviously heartbreaking, but it was heartbreaking for everyone for about a week, and then it stops being talked about, because the reality is there's going to be another one that people are going to start talking about soon enough anyways.
Right. So the main reason I'm hearing for this is that it means less gun violence. More gun control leads to less gun violence.
Yeah.
And that's a thing we should want to have more in the U.S. is less gun violence.
I would hope so. I'd hope that's something that people would want. Yeah. Well, I'd love to hear your opinion on it.
About this in general?
Yeah.
You want to know my confidence?
Yeah.
Okay, I haven't thought too much about it. Far more gun control. Far more.
I mean,
No,
there's almost none to begin with, so.
I don't know. I'll be there a little bit.
Yeah? Why?
Yeah. Not. I think the Second Amendment is about government tyranny more than civilian gun violence.
In terms of why it was written, or how it's being currently used?
Yeah, it's the mitigation of government tyranny rather than civilian combat or violence.
But if it's the mitigation of that, how many government agencies are going around schools and killing children versus civilians?
Yeah, it's like a black swan type event we're trying to avoid. It's like a super rare thing, but it's such a catastrophic thing that we just want to be able to mitigate that.
Is children dying in schools not as catastrophic as government tyranny?
No.
And what other countries that are in a similar political and socio-economic state to the US have far more gun control than the US, but have been subject to governmental tyranny? Because I can't name one.
Not sure. I would say Germany has far more gun control, and the UK does. New Zealand probably does.
In Australia, they have similar laws to us, yep.
Yeah.
And none of which have been subject to government tyranny, as a lack of civilians having access to guns. And I mean, when you think about the scale of the weaponry that your government has access to, which is nuclear weaponry, do you really think that having an AK-47 in your closet or a Glock in your bedside table is going to help fight back against the weaponry that they have access to?
Maybe a little bit.
Really?
Have some chance.
Because do you think they're going to be going door to door and you're going to have like a gunfight, or do you think that they have access to nuclear weapons and robots? And have you seen the robot dogs in China?
Yeah.
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 So if you think about the scale of technology that we as civilians don't even know that they have and that they have access to. In your heart, do you really believe that people in the US own guns to fight back against the government, or do you think that they own guns because they want to?
I think most people probably just do because they want to. But for me personally, I don't own any guns, but I can see someone who has that, who has guns more for personal self-defense and ultimately a safeguard against government tyranny. I don't know how much those weigh in terms of the other costs of the other reasons, like gun violence. So...
It's so interesting to me. I got next. I apologize.
Okay, sorry.
You're
I
right.
hear what you're saying. I think it's so interesting.
No, you're all right. Don't apologize.
So, that's why I'm not all the way over it. I think those reasons have weight. The more gun... I don't want gun violence.
Yeah.
So it's hard, and it is an amendment. Would I vote to repeal it? Probably not. Would I want more gun control? I don't know. I'm not an expert in this.
Interesting.
I haven't even shot a gun in like decades.
But do you think that you need to have shot a gun to have a perspective on whether gun control is an important thing to reduce civilian violence?
Probably not.
No.
Yeah. What are other reasons that go into this question that we haven't talked about?
As in, why did I bring it up?
Yeah, I'm hearing it reduces gun violence. Is that the main reason for you?
Yeah, well, I think, if you are wanting to, you're unhinged mentally and not doing well, and as a result you are going to act out pathologically with violence, I think you're going to be able to kill a lot less people with a knife than you are with a semi-automatic weapon.
Yeah, so if people had less guns, we would have less gun violence.
Yeah. And I think less gun violence means less mass violence overall, because the people that want to hurt are still going to hurt, but they're not going to have the same weaponry or artillery available to them. If gun control is in place, then they're going to have to use a knife or something, or a single loaded weapon. If you take away semi-automatic weapons, they're just going to be able to kill a lot less people in a lot less time, which to me, there's always going to be horrible, nasty people out there that want to kill, but if we can take away the most powerful weapon, then I think that's the best thing that we could do.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of justifications that go into that reason. Any other reasons against this that you've heard?
Yeah.
I gave, I guess, the government tyranny mitigation reason and self-defense. Those were mine too.
Yeah,
Anything else?
I mean, in terms of self-defense, how often do we hear stories of people successfully defending themselves by having a weapon in their bedside table, would be my first question. And the second question in terms of self-defense is, someone breaks in and you're just like, hold on, right there. I'm a responsible gun owner. My guns are in the safe. So while you're standing in my living room holding a gun to my family, I'm just going to quickly run to my bedroom and I'll just open my safe because I'm a responsible gun owner, and let me just get the gun out of the safe, and then I'll come back to defend myself and my family. So even when people say I'm a responsible gun owner, how are you going to use that for self-defense? What's the point in having it? If you truly do believe you're a responsible gun owner and you've got it in a safe, your kids can't access it, then how are you going to utilize that for self-defense?
That's a counter to the reduces ability for self-defense, because
Yeah.
it's usually, if you're responsible, it's locked in a place where
Correct.
if that situation did happen,
You're not
it would
going
be
to be able to-
unlikely to use it.
Yeah, exactly. And I
Okay.
think if you're not a responsible gun owner and you've got it lying around the house, who's to say that you're not going to be the next person to psychologically crack, and then other people are going to need to use them as self-defense against you? And so if everyone takes away that weaponry for self-defense, then no one can use it for offense. It's just like if you're playing dodgeball and you take the balls out, then you're playing tag.
Tag?
Tag?
Tag.
Tag.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Do you get what I'm saying by that?
I do.
Yeah.
I get that.
And I think some people's arguments are bad people will always find a way to get guns.
bad people will
will
always have...
always find a way to get guns,
Yeah.
like to buy it off the black market or that kind of thing. And I don't disagree with that. I think that's correct, but I think the amount of people that are going out of their way to do that versus the amount of homeowners that just have multiple guns in their houses is extremely different.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Are these the main reasons we're considering now?
I'd say so.
Is there anything else on the other side for you?
Whether you want to refer to it as gun violence or mass killings, I do
It's probably
think they're the
a subset
same
of that,
thing, yeah.
Same thing. Okay. I've got this little thing here to weigh the reasons.
Yeah.
Potentially want to do that real quick?
Yeah, sure.
So you've got some plastic weight in here.
Okay.
And let's kind of calibrate the weight of a reason.
Okay.
Which of these weighs the most in your mind?
Well,
If
it's
you- if
biased
you had
because of the
five-
perspective that I'm on, so
Yeah, you have like 5 weights per reason.
yeah.
Is that what weighs the most?
To me, absolutely.
Okay. And what is the next one? If this is a 5, how much would these weigh?
So if that's 100%, I wouldn't even consider them a 1. I'd consider them like a 0.5, like a 10%. But I think if I'm looking at it from like an equals perspective and, taking someone else's emotions into account, maybe a 2 and a 1.
Compared to the 5 on this side?
Yeah.
This is like 2.
I'm reluctant to even say 2. I feel like 1 and 1, but
1
I'm
and
trying
1?
to be, reasonable and open to other people's perspectives.
That's fine. Feel free to pick a color for this one.
Okay.
Which one do you want?
I want to do pink because I like pink.
Okay. That one, and you can put that on the right side. And this is 1 each. What color per one of these?
Let's do black for government tyranny because that sounds like a horrible dark thing.
Okay.
And let's do white for self-defense because I think that comes from a place of purity and wanting to defend yourselves.
I see.
Yeah. Trying to bring some symbolism in.
Okay, cool. 1 second. Cool. Okay, so I think that would, if this arrow was pointing on this thing, should you, and you're all the way to the right, should your confidence be there or less, or should this weigh a lot more?
That should weigh a lot more.
A lot more.
Or there should be,
We need more
0.5s available.
weights.
Yeah.
We need like a 10 and a 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I try to.
Because I
calibrate
think to say that there is 0 is ignorant of people having differing perspectives, but for me to give them a 1, I think that's giving too much liberty to what weight those actually hold.
Okay. Yeah. Should this weigh this much, or should all of these weigh this amount? I don't know. I mean, how could we tell how much they should weigh? Is there any way to test the quality of these reasons?
Maybe you could use statistical data to measure how many people have died from gun violence in the US in the last 10 years, how many people have used their registered weapons as mitigation for government tyranny, and how many people have used them as self-defense successfully. That could be a way to measure.
Right. Yeah, this is like a potential future thing, but we could probably compare how many lives has guns saved and how many lives has guns ended in a bad way.
Yeah.
In an unjust, unethical way. If it was, what do you think that is, the ratio in the US?
I would say, are these magnetic also, or just yours magnetic? I'd say this would be more like, I reckon this would be like 300, 400, and this would still be 1. I genuinely am convinced that the amount of lives ended by gun violence in the US is hundreds times more.
100 times more? Like 400 times more?
Than lives saved in self-defense by using a gun. Because by using a gun as self-defense, I'm imagining you're still ending a life as well. So let's say you have one person shoots 50 people, and often themselves, that's 51 lives lost.
Yeah.
Someone breaks into a home and typically someone breaking into a home I don't think is there to kill, usually maybe to rob. But let's say they are there to kill and there's 4 people in the home, so that's maybe 4 that could have died, but the father used their gun as self-defense and shot that guy, so 1 died and 4 lived. So let's say that's the circumstance, right?
Yeah.
So that means 20% of people died in that situation. And in an active shooter situation, I mean, what's the measure? 100% of people died? How many? It depends on how many people are there.
Right. If we wanted to do some quick statistics for this, where would be good sources to find that information?
There's a website with like all of the data of the past like 400 years on deaths, like whether it's due to war and it's like, I think it's called, it was like an active shooting list or something like that. And so like in New Zealand, like we had the mosque one, and then like the one before that was like some like man shot his family in a tiny town in like the 60s, and then before that it was like when New Zealand was colonized, and it was like muskets that were being used in the example.
Okay. So currently you're saying potentially the good gun violence is 400 times more likely than bad gun violence, or guns used in self-defense.
Yeah, so I think that
400 times.
I mean, that's just me pulling out a number. It could be 5 times. It could be 1,000 times. I've got no clue off the top of my head.
I have no idea either. If it was like only 2 to 1, would that change the weighting in any way?
Yeah, I think it would. I think that would be a really valid reason to change the weighting. But
what weight would that be if that was only 2 to 1?
I think you could probably like take 2 away from that, because then I think if it was 2 to 1, gun violence wouldn't really be as large an issue as it is, right? Like if that was 2 to 1,
yeah.
Then if it was 2 to 1, you're not having as many shootings as the US is. I mean, every state in the US has had a shooting this year.
We could have at the absolute level, the same or more level of shootings. We just have more self-defense stuff potentially, or less bad gun violence. Either one. The ratio. Yeah.
Because I mean, the need for self-defense reduces when this reduces, right?
True. Yeah.
Because I don't know any New Zealanders that have guns for self-defense.
And are we counting the times when guns are fired, or when guns are merely like, guns drawn as well?
When you say fired, do you mean someone like is shooting like glass bottles in a like as target practice, or
like for self-defense?
Oh,
like someone could use a gun for self-defense and not even fire it. Maybe.
Yeah. That's a really valid point, is like,
or even
like the
visible.
Symbol of having it is,
or just walking around with one.
Yeah, like someone's coming up to you and maybe they're about to mug you, but you live in an open carry state, and you kind of
brandish it. Would that count as the self-defense?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. You're using it as a symbol of self-defense. I'm going to defend myself with this,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And if we had more gun control, we would have less people having it like on their hips, having the ability to brandish it.
Yeah,
nearly.
Absolutely. I mean, like if I don't have a gun on me right now, so if someone came up to me and tried to mug me, I'd just have to call my insurance company and get a new phone. Like
okay.
I think that's the reality of it. Is it's and I mean, worst case scenario is you do have one and you brandish it, and the other person has one too, but they're a lot more willing to use it than you are. Like that's like there's a million different possibilities of how a gun can be used, but I think a vast majority of them end in a life lost.
Yeah, and it's also the far more, which I'm not potentially clear about, but that's something maybe.
Well, I think far more because there's almost none.
There's almost none?
Like, especially in open carry states, there's almost none. Like,
should open carry be illegal in all everywhere?
I think there should be. I think semi-automatic weapons should be illegal. And so.
And semi-automatic or handguns, semi-automatic weapons?
No, semi-automatic weapon would be like an AK-47, like something that can fire off like 50 rounds.
With just the holding down the trigger, you don't have to keep pushing it.
Yeah.
Or is that automatic?
Sorry, automatic and semi-automatic.
Automatic
I guess,
and semi. Okay. What's the semi-automatic? I'm not
Semi-automatic,
a gun
I believe, is... I'm not a gun connoisseur. I just definitely think there should be control over it. So maybe I should learn more about guns and how they work before I hold such a strong perspective. But I believe a semi-automatic is maybe something that's got 6 rounds and you pull the trigger each time. So, like, in New Zealand, you'd have to, like, cock, load, and then fire each time. So, like, that's why they're only used for hunting, because that's the only weapon that you use for hunting in New Zealand.
for hunting.
Yeah.
And you're not going to use handguns for hunting.
No. So we don't have handguns on it either.
What kind of guns are handguns? Just manual guns? What is it called?
Like a small gun, like a pistol, or like something that someone would open carry, like anything with like a long barrel that's automatic. You just cannot. It's like prohibited. And I think that it should be prohibited here too, as well as like, I'm not sure what they're called, but the guns that police carry that can fire off like 6 rounds. Like, I don't think there's any need for that. Like, if you're hunting an animal, you're not going to be using that. So the only reason for that would be for using against a person.
Okay, gotcha. Cool. Well, did I get your name? Sorry?
Elle.
Elle?
Like E-L-L-E.
E-L-L-E, gotcha.
Yeah.
My name is Reed. Nice to meet
Nice
you.
to meet you.
Any last words? Anything just to talk about now?
I think, thanks for the chat, and obviously, like, I could definitely learn more about it since I do hold, like, a relatively strong perspective on it. Mm-hmm. But I think maybe just from experience of how we've seen, we had one shooting in New Zealand and outlawed guns. Everyone had to hand them in and they were destroyed, and we haven't had any since. So I think that's definitely a promising way to view gun control.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Elle. Appreciate
Thank
the
you.
conversation. Feel free
Nice to meet you.
yeah, nice to meet you. Yeah. Feel free to take one of these little squishy memento puzzle pieces if you want.
Oh, cool. I will. Thank you.
Sure.
I'll go blue.
Cool.
And I'll take one of these.
Sure.
Awesome. Thanks for your patience.
Yeah, I know. I'm poor bastard. I'm gonna talk his ear off now.
Oh boy.
Are you going to talk about the same topic?
No, I'm gonna branch off and, if anything, prove your point more correct.
Okay, beautiful. I love it.
All right. Have a good day.
Dude, you need a break, dude. I understand, bro. Take a break, man.
Maybe for a
I'm not
minute.
even kidding. I was just about to leave and be like, I'm just gonna email you and say, well, how often do you do this?